Did you know the average individual consumes about 2,000 pounds of food yearly? That's over 1.5 tons of food being consumed annually by an individual. Now, if we divide that number by the number of days in a year, that individual is consuming 5.46 pounds of food daily. And if that individual was to follow the new Canadian Food Guide, shaking mountains upon its release, with the average plate being 60% produce, they'd be consuming 3.3 pounds of produce daily out of the 5.46 pounds of food being consumed daily. That would result in 1,198 pounds of produce being consumed yearly. And if we looked at the unfortunate fact that most individuals can't afford that much produce daily, let alone yearly, they're facing a malnutrition wall. With high rates of obesity and low rates of accessibility to high nutrient foods. This is due to the fact of low food security and having to go with the cheaper alternative, a food designed for a high shelf life with detriment to the much needed nutrients. We look to the large scale industrial farms and the corporations that own them for the answer. But maybe the answer doesn't lie with them. Maybe the answer lies with the individual asking it, or even the community that individual lies in. Hi, my name's Robert Martin, and in this video, I'd like to talk about community gardens and how they can return food security to a community and food awareness. Community gardens aren't just a single head spear point. They branch off in many different directions, having an overall positive effect on the community. They promote healthy, organic consumption for the individual and the community that individual resides in. They also offer a reward in the form of an organic yield from the given community gardens. Community gardens also act like wetlands in the way they provide a community with a green spot that improves the surrounding air and soil qualities, and also increases the biodiversity of both plants and animals. And as a byproduct of the two, improve micro-algae climates. But most importantly, community gardens improve food security for communities. A great example of these community gardens is River Street Community Garden. It was established by the city and affiliated companies. They built the fencing you see, the crop plots within, the gazebo in the corner, the compost bins in the opposing corner, and laid the irrigation. They also provide compost for those who otherwise wouldn't have any. An individual in the city can rent a crop plot here for just $35 yearly, which is the same price of just 4 bags of apples. And they're given free reign over anything they would like to plant with just 2 restrictions. They can't plant anything that's too invasive to the other crop plots, and they can only plant up to 40% flowers in their crop plot due to the fact that these crop plots are meant more for just fruit and vegetable yield. Another great example of these outstanding community gardens would be Crestline Street Community Garden. I am now in front of Crestline Community Garden, which was also established by the city and a few other affiliated companies. Unlike River Street Community Garden, Crestline Community Garden is almost twice the size, offering a much larger growing space for its renters. And with the more recent addition of the artificial beehives in the back corner, Crestline Community Garden has directly affected the biodiversity of its surrounding animals, and through the pollination of these bees, has directly affected the biodiversity of surrounding plants and the quality of fruits and vegetables being grown here. But community gardens do have another effect, one that can't be seen with just looking at them, even one this size. It's more of a large-scale picture. Community gardens directly affect food miles. And food miles in abstract is the distance food has to travel from where it's produced to where it's made available for consumers, or in other words, from farm to plate. Food miles over the years have increased due to the fact that industrial farms have pushed out small-scale operations such as local farms or even our community gardens. And with this, food is traveling a much greater distance, and we're losing much-needed nutrients and freshness. The owners of corporations and these large-scale industrial farms have noticed this, and through artificial and genetic enhancement have made it so the fruits and vegetables being produced have a longer shelf life at the detriment of the much-needed nutrients within these fruits and vegetables. But on the upside, food miles have made it so the average individual can consume both fruits and vegetables all year round, even out of season, or ones that wouldn't be able to be grown in the local environment. But this is a luxury that we can't afford. And due to this luxury, we've lost food security in many towns, cities, villages, individuals, and in communities. But this is where community gardens come in. Community gardens can once return this food security that our ancestors, that our grandparents once had. But after interviewing many of the men and women who've been working these community gardens since their construction, and who'd like to stay anonymous, I've come to the realization that many of the individuals that do work these gardens are elderly. And like they've all stated for me, for this to become a sustainable project, we need to be teaching our youth how to manage these gardens and how to grow a sustainable fruit and vegetable yield. A place that has already started this and is well established is Arthur Hatton Elementary School. Through the guidance of their garden coordinator, Paul Denby, who had a starting position of just 2 3-foot by 2-foot raised crop plots, which then became 4 identical crop plots, and after some school fundraising, school budgeting, and even some of his own money, managed to get a few micro gardens into the classrooms for his kids to work on and manage. But he wasn't done there. He had his eyes set on the horizons. And posted on the 7th of November 2018, he won the Nature's Path Gardens and Gardens for Good contest, bringing home $15,000 to his students, colleagues, and to the school, adding an additional 8 crop plots to his community garden. And then reaching his goal of student-taught food awareness and sustainability, he concluded that it was done, providing planting space for the students and family who otherwise wouldn't have it. But the youth aren't the only ones who need to be taught this. On average, only 1/5 out of adults cook, and only 1 out of 123 adults admit to growing and consuming organic produce. A center that helps with this is Mount Paul Community Center. Not only do they promote growing, cooking, and food sourcing there, they teach it so that the average individual can turn over the new leaf on this new path to food sustainability. And following this new path, we need to implement this into the community to make it an actual sustainable project. Where might we implement this, you might ask? Into green spots, which are located all around the city, located every 3 city blocks as per the British Columbia Building Code. There are 7 more this size located in Kamloops. This one's located just on the edge of Kamloops in a place called Dallas. There are many more half this size. Green spots are to be built 1/4 the size of a city block. That's what the size of one soccer field, which most of these spots are already used for dog parks, water parks, or just an open field like this one. But if we were to convert just half of it to community garden, that'd be a community garden 80 feet by 100 feet. Now, if we use all the space within it, making sure there's room for paths and irrigation and compost bins, we'd be able to add in 40 10 by 10 crop plots and 8 20 by 10 crop plots. That'd produce enough fruit and vegetables to feed a community and individuals in that community or a family of 3 to 5 people for 3 to 4 months out of the year. That'd reduce the grocery bill by 21 to 25% yearly. Now, after interviewing some city officials and some budgeting costs, they said that they'd rent out one of these crop plots for just $60 yearly, which is a small fee when you look at the fact that the average consumer and family is spending just that, if not more, on just one grocery bill, let alone enough for 3 to 4 months. With that, I'd like to conclude my video and my project on community gardens and how they can return food security to a community. Thank you.